Tonight on the Mac to the Future podcast, we have so much stuff going on. We have personal audio losing their podcasting fight to the EFF. We have Google employees protesting Pentagon contracts with Alphabet. And we have, I'm going to take you through the setup, the way I do podcasting with Audio Hijack and Loopback tonight on the Mac to the Future podcast. Make sure I do this right. Will it work? Okay, there was an update to Ecamm Live, which I installed just before I started doing this tonight. Still nothing in between scenes to kind of phase them in and phase them out. So Ecamm, you need to work on that. But so far, everything else seems to be working the way I expected it to. And, I have about 1 billion programs open right now in order so that I can do the live demonstration of some of the other stuff that I do in the second part of the show. And if I had tried this with my previous setup using the Mac Pro, everything would have just ground screaming to a halt. But we're going to ignore that for now. A couple of personal things. Last weekend, my son's girlfriend graduated from Mary Washington College. So I say, yay, congratulations, Liza. I'm so proud of you and Peter. She's a keeper. You better hang on to her or it's Knuckle City. We had a really, really good time. It was nice to meet her father, who I hadn't met before. And, of course, to spend some time with her mother and, of course, Tracy and going out to lunch and all the rest of that. That was a great day. Congratulations. This weekend, we're going to North Carolina. And we're going to some of Tracy's family. It's a family reunion for Tracy's side of the family. And that's going to be a lot of fun. It's good to kind of get out of town a little bit because I'm starting to go stir crazy. So I won't be on the My Mac podcast this week. Gaz will be doing that with, I don't know who he's going to do that with, but it's going to be great. But let's move on with what we're doing here because there's just so much to go through here. Personal Audio, for people who don't know who Personal Audio is, this is a LLC company who basically applied for a patent in 1998 in conjunction with a personal digital audio player that they were making that just went absolutely nowhere. But they basically took and created this patent and formed the company, and no big surprise, they're based out of East Texas. When they decided that they couldn't make money from selling hardware, they took this very broad and very vague patent. And basically, the whole thing is like thousands of words long, but to kind of boilerplate it, it's system for disseminating media content representing episodes in a serialized sequence. So in other words, something that television and radio have been doing since like the 1920s, 1930s, just a ridiculous patent. And they sued Apple, they sued Microsoft, they probably sued Google. There was a whole ton of large companies that they sued. Most of the companies settled because fighting these kinds of patent suits for large companies, for the most part, is a waste of their time, money, and resources. So they license whatever silly crap that's in the patent, and the patent trolls go away. And that would have probably been the end of it, except then Personal Audio decided that it wasn't enough to get a big payout, over $8 million that they got. Over $8 million from Apple and Microsoft and Google and all these other companies. They decided to go after individual podcasters. And one of the first ones they went after was Adam Corolla, former MTV DJ, big into podcasting. And he raised some money, and he ended up finally settling. But then the EFF, which is the Electronic Frontier Foundation, took this up, and they essentially got the U.S. Patent Office to throw out that part of the patent that they were suing everyone for, and they attempted to take it all the way to the Supreme Court, to get the Supreme Court to rule on this, so that to get their patent back, so they can keep suing people. And the Supreme Court basically said, nah, we're not going to hear this case. So that was kind of their last chance to continue to do this nonsense. And of course, they're all very, very disappointed. And the rest of us kind of just go, yay, Electronic Frontier Foundation. If you can, it would be a nice gesture to donate a little, because they kind of do this on a shoestring budget. So if you could donate something to the Electronic Frontier Foundation to help keep them going, I would personally appreciate it. But that's pretty much the end of what personal audio can do as far as this patent goes. There's nowhere else that they can take it. So, one troll down, 16,000 more to go, I guess. All right. Google has this is a story from ZDNet. And let me copy and paste this in. This is a story from ZDNet. Come on. It's so much easier when you have somebody else doing this with you. Come on. There we go. So there's the link to it right there. They have a contract with the Pentagon, and has to do with artificial intelligence. And some 4,000 Google employees and hundreds of like-minded academias have signed petitions, and 12 Google employees have resigned, protesting what's being called Project Maven. Project Maven aims to develop an AI that can spot humans and objects in vast amounts of videos captured by military drones. Google has previously said that the technology flags images for human review and is for non-offensive uses only, while protesters believe that Google's research into AI shouldn't be for the military or have militaristic intentions. Google has acknowledged that military use of machine learning naturally raises valid concerns, but says that the project, as far as they're concerned, is for non-offensive uses only. Not really sure how they can expect that a contract with the Pentagon, and it doesn't really matter what you've contracted with the Pentagon for. The Pentagon is the U.S. military. And if you have a contract with them for anything from artificial intelligence to refrigerators that you can create by adding water, there's going to be military applications. And I'm not saying that this is good, that this is bad, that this is indifferent. But I think that this is basically Google trying to spin this so that their employees aren't all upset. And when you have 4,000 of your own employees signing off on a petition, I don't really know what that says about you as a company. I guess it's great that they feel comfortable enough that they can criticize upper management in this way, but it seems to me to be kind of self-defeating. Companies exist to make money. This is what they're for. And if the Pentagon is going to throw a lot of money at Google to do something, anything, whatever the heck it is they think they're going to do with artificial intelligence, I don't really see how, if Google doesn't take it, then Microsoft probably would, or some other company that's delving into artificial intelligence. It's not like there isn't a plethora of companies that are involved in it. So I don't know. On one hand, the whole thought of artificial intelligence in the military just automatically makes me think of Skynet and Terminator and all the rest of that. On the other hand, it's pretty obvious that other countries with less scruples, without naming any of these countries, would be more than willing to use artificial intelligence for their own militaries. And the whole symbiotic relationship between the militaries of these various countries and how they try to keep a relative balance in capabilities. And I'm talking about, I'm not talking about Botswana versus Rwanda. We're talking about the U.S. versus China, or the U.S. versus Russia, or the U.S. versus who knows, someday maybe a united Europe if things go haywire over there. Okay, you know what? I'm going to stop because this is going to go in a direction that I really don't want it to go. Google employees are protesting the Pentagon contract with Alphabet because they don't want Google to do anything with artificial intelligence in relation to their research in the military. So, we'll just sweep that away, and it is what it is. We are going to take a very short break, and when we come back, we will delve into, hopefully, unless I completely screw this up, and there's no guarantee that I won't, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how I do things like this on a week-to-week basis, sometimes well, sometimes not so well. So hold on, and we will be, let's see, which one am I doing here? Let's do this one. We'll be right back. Are you a new Mac user or an old hand? Wish you could know the ins and outs, keyboard shortcuts, or hidden tips and tricks to make you more efficient using your favorite computer? Hey, it's your lucky day, because Edward Eisen has written a great guide to knowing more about the Mac and the OS that it runs on. It's called This is the Light Side, and it's available through Apple's iBookstore or with Amazon. Better yet, it's not a stuffy old book that gathers dust on the shelf once the next operating system is released, because it's an ebook that you can look at any time you want. It won't get outdated because it's continuously being updated. Information on setting up your new Mac, installing and getting rid of applications, security settings and what to look out for, keyboard shortcuts, some basic app recommendations, how to use Windows on your Mac, if you really want to, that is, advanced topics, searching, using iCloud, and much more. All this for a mere 99 cents. Go to the iBookstore or Amazon and check out Edward Eisen's This is the Light Side. It's the book you want on your virtual shelf. Okay, we are back. Now, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to go through some of these various programs. I will tell you what these programs are. It's going to be up to you to determine whether or not this is something that you're interested in. I'm not going to provide links to the programs. It's pretty self-explanatory where most of them come from. So we're just going to go through the programs and some of the things that I do with them. So I'm going to switch over to the desktop. And we are going to, actually, we don't want Skype. We're going to start off with Rogue Amoeba's Loopback. Now, what this program does is, if you've ever had any experience with Soundflower, this is like Soundflower on steroids. There is so much that you can do with this program. Soundflower was kind of limited to only being able to do stuff with ins and outs in relationship to hardware. Whereas Loopback, you can take audio from programs. You can take audio from hardware. You can take audio from practically anywhere that audio is generated and bring it in and then shoot it back out. Now, the way I use it is, you can see this very first one is called GarageBand Audio. And I'm going to bring up GarageBand real quick here so that you can see what it is that I'm talking about. Whoops, that wasn't it. See, I told you something was going to happen. There we go. Okay, so here's GarageBand, and I've got 5 tracks that I deal with. You've got my microphone, and you can see that there's audio coming in through there. You've got Skype, and I know that says and soundboard, but that's not, it's just basically Skype. Or in the case of the MyMac podcast, when we're recording there, it's Discord, because Gaz and I use Discord now. But, they're both VoIP services. Then you have Farrago, which is our sound clip editor, or not really editor. I guess it is kind of an editor. Our sound clip generator of choice. That's the one that we use. The next 2 are not live tracks. This is where I put things like the opening for the show. It's where I put, let me move it on a little bit here, see if it'll let me do it. Whoa, there we go. It's where I put the ending to the show. It's all kinds of stuff that I do with it. And why is this being weird? Let me go all the way back to the beginning here. Come on, stop that. Sorry about this, folks. I'm having notifications. Go up here on the side. And it's not letting me do the things that I want to do. Stop that. Oh, so annoying. Anyway, so that's GarageBand, and that's what I'm using that first one for Loopback for. Let me go back to Loopback. So here's Loopback. You can see I've got in this virtual device, I've got Discord, which is a application, Farrago, another application, Skype, and then I've got this so well named UMC 404HD192K. That is the Behringer audio interface that I use, that I have over here on the side. I've got this microphone connected up to that through a Cloud Lifter audio actuator, or it's really more like a preamp. So those are my sources, and that's right up there on top. If you go a little bit farther down, you can do channel mapping either automatically, and if you do it automatically, you're basically talking about two channel audio for the most part, or manual, where you put in, let me bring that up here if I can get to it. You bring in the sources that you want and you put them onto the channels that you want. So right here, you can see in channels 1 and 2, I've got, it's a mono device, so that's why you see 2 lefts there. So that's going to the left and right channels, my microphone. On 3 and 4, that is Skype, Discord left, Skype right, Discord right. So there's the 2 VoIPs. Go a little bit farther down, and you've got Farrago on 5 and 6, left and right. And that corresponds with, where are we at here? That corresponds, come on. Oh, I got to come back over here. Okay, that corresponds with GarageBand. If you look on my microphone, and you come a little bit farther down here on the bottom, you see that says 1 and 2 GarageBand audio. So that loopback output is what I've chosen to be my audio in for GarageBand. Now, if we come up here and we go to Skype SB, you can see that changes to 3 and 4, which corresponds to what I was doing over there. And then Farrago is on 5 and 6. So when I record audio here in, actually, let me go ahead and hit record here. Hopefully it won't mess anything up. Okay, so now I am, come on. I'm recording audio, and you can see there's the wave pattern right there. And as I'm talking, you're only seeing that stuff there. But if I go to the Farrago app, and you can't see it, but it doesn't matter. And I hit something there. You can see the waveform for that third track starting to come in. So that's basically how I record the podcast with Gaz each week. I use the loopback device that I created. Come back to that. Oh, why didn't it go to the whole window? Zoom to app window. There we go. Yeah, first time I'm trying to do this. So you've got GarageBand audio, and this is the device that I use that goes to GarageBand. So this is my ins and outs for just doing the podcast each week with Gaz. Now, when I do this livecast, things get a little more complicated. Now, you can see I've got a couple of different, if I can get to it. Yeah, the problem is, even when you've got multiple windows, it can be hard to find stuff. There it is. So I've got this one here. You notice that's set to automatic. I don't really use that one too much. Okay, you got Livecast source. This is my audio in for Ecamm Live. And the way I do this is, and because of the way Ecamm Live works is it's kind of integrated with Skype. So you've got one audio channel that you set up for yourself, and then there's an audio channel that gets set up for Skype. But I don't like to do it that way, because what happens is the Skype audio channel remains live even when you're doing something that mutes your own microphone. So what I do is I use Audio Hijack to merge my audio, Farrago, and either Skype or Discord, depending on which one it is that you want to talk about, to go into the single audio source for Ecamm Live. And I'm going to show you this here if I can get back over here. We're going to scoot over to very quickly to Ecamm Live, maybe. It's going to let me. No, that's not what I want. Ecamm Live, comments and reactions. See, I can see all this. Scenes, overlays, sound levels. It's not showing me the program itself. So anyway, if you look over here where, let me just go to that. I'm going to go to sound levels. So here's sound levels, and you can see the audio is coming in. As the source for the sound coming into Ecamm Live, it's called Livecast source. And if you look back on loopback, that's this one right here. And it's set to automatic, which means that everything that I put into this, everything that I use this output for, is going to go into this source and show up wherever I put it. In this case, it's Ecamm Live. So now we're going to scoot over to, if I can get to it, let's see here. We want to go to Audio Hijack. Now, this is where things get really kind of interesting. I know this looks kind of complicated, and it took me a long time. Okay, why are you doing this? There. It took me a long time to get this figured out. But what we have here, they're going to start with right here. This is my microphone. And it goes in through a couple of filters, and that's, you can set that up however you want. But you'll notice that as you start to move past all of that, you come up to the first output device, which I have turned off, and that's headphones, because I don't necessarily need to hear myself as I'm doing all of this. But, oh God, why does it keep doing this? Come on back to Audio Hijack. Thank you. So just below that, you'll see there's two applications. There's Farrago and iTunes. And every once in a while, after I get done doing this show, I will go ahead and just go into iTunes and start screwing around and doing some fun stuff with that. But Farrago and iTunes, and if I hit, you can see the audio coming in through Farrago, coming up here to the headphone port. That's active so that I can hear Farrago and iTunes. That's going to the output device headphones that you see turned off, but it's still working its way through. And then it's going to the output device Livecast source. Now, that allows me to take my microphone, Farrago, and iTunes and route them all to that Livecast source output device that you see right there. And then coming up to the very top, you'll see that there's two applications listed there, Skype and Discord. And I don't typically use them at the same time. In fact, I've never used them at the same time. But they're both coming in, going through some filters, hitting the headphones so that I can hear them. And then they're connected through this output here in Livecast source. Now, in order to do a podcast where you have your audio and whatever other audio that you're generating from your computer going to either Skype or Discord or some other VoIP service, you have to have what's known as a mix minus, which is typically done with hardware and cabling and all kinds of stuff. But when I got rid of the Mac Pro that I had, I didn't have all those ins and outs anymore, so I had to economize, which is why I've got this setup that I have now. But what I still needed was my microphone all the way over here, and I needed Farrago and or iTunes to all go to Skype and Discord. And as we come up here, you see where the headphone output is, and then it hits this peak RMS box. And then there's this little line that comes all the way down here called VoIP mic. That's an output device. That is the input that I'm using for both Skype and Discord. So that gets this microphone, Farrago, and iTunes all routed through to this output, which goes to, that's what I'm using for the input for both Skype and Discord. And very quickly, relatively quickly, because none of this is real quick, I'm going to show you, let's see, we're going to start with Discord. So here's Discord, and I'm going to show you, if I can, the preferences for Discord, voice and video. So here's my input device, VoIP mic. That's the output that you saw over in Audio Hijack. When we go back to Audio Hijack, there it is right there. There's the VoIP mic output. Now if we go to Skype, maybe, yeah, good. We went to Skype, and it wasn't that hard. We go to Skype, and we go to Preferences, Audio and Video Preferences. You can see under Microphone, it says VoIP mic. That is the exact same input. And, and the speakers say built-in output. Most of the time, these outputs don't really matter. So anyway, so there's the two VoIP programs that I typically use. They're both using the same output here called VoIP mic. And the important part is that, as you can see where this line is, let me bring that back up over here, where this line is right here. The reason why this is here in this area is that wherever I put this output, I have to make sure that this section here does not connect up to it, or it'll feed back and cause all kinds of problems. And nobody wants that. Come on, Audio Hijack. There we go. So that is, in essence, the way that I put all of these podcasts together. These are some of the tools that I use to route audio and video and all the rest of that from one area of the computer to another. It has taken me a very, very long time to figure all of this out, and I've had a lot of good sources of information besides the internet, and I am more than willing, and have shown on more than one occasion, that I'm willing to share this information with anybody else who's interested in it. If you have any questions when I'm done with this podcast, and we're going to end this in just a little bit, go ahead and email me, contact me on Facebook. Probably that would be the best way to do it, Guy Searle on Facebook. You can also contact me, guy at mttfgo.com or guy@mymac.com for email, and Mac Parrot on the Twitters. I really appreciate all of the support that you guys have given me through Ko-fi and Patreon, and you can find me as Mac Parrot on both of those services. And I think that is gonna about do it for the evening. I really appreciate the time that you've spent, and I hope I haven't bored you too much, but I love talking about this stuff. I get really, really excited talking about it. So anyway, if you have any questions, hang around, and I will come back on after the credits, and we can talk about this in a little more detail. In the meantime, thank you all for coming and listening and all the rest of that. And we'll catch you next week. Hopefully Warren will be back by then. And okay, bye-bye.